see, there's a crack that goes round there, all the way across there, across there, across there, and all the way around the front. And those cases just wanted apart. So that was what caused all of our bother. I was a bit disappointed, but I'm getting used to it now. I've been racing for 36 years. We've got on quite well with the monocoque. Bodywork's all finished, engines and transmissions all finished, exhaust wheels are all finished, the hubs, brakes, hydraulics, all finished. All that's left really to do to this machine before we fire it up is we've got to bleed the hydraulics, we've got to assemble the unique fuel pump that's operated from the swinging arm, and we've got to assemble the oil cooler, engine oil cooler. Very little work left to fire this machine up. We've made the pattern for the fairing, the streamlining, and that pattern is now away being having a mould made from it, and we hope from that mould to have the streamlining within a couple of days. So I would like to think that we've completed this machine completely by this time next week.
We wanted it back as original, not other people have had them obviously and put their mods on them, so we got rid of all their mods and gone back to as it left the factory or from the workshop across the road.
I think the museum have asked us to do these machines because they want them exactly as they were, exactly as they were, without any guesswork. It's got to be, you know, attention to detail is everything, I think. Perhaps only us from the shop, the race department, could produce something that was exactly warts and all as we produced them in the 70s.
Well, we had to make 25 sets for one gauge. So this was built out rubbish.
It's a gem. There they are.
That's a sight that hasn't been seen for a long time, or ever actually, maybe?
Probably forever. Those three have been lined up together before, but I think all of those are gone by the time we got this far with the Cosworth in 75, late 75. So I'm not sure that the NVT Challenge was ever photographed with the John Player bikes. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. There he is. It ought to go first kick, but like
So the Cosworth's not firing up, no?
No, the Cosworth won't run until after Christmas. We've got some more engine work, so we're going to deliver that Cosworth to the museum tomorrow as an unrunner, and then we'll complete the second Cosworth and have it as a runner. Then we'll swap. We'll bring the second one to the museum, leave it, take away this one, build the engine, and then hopefully by March they'll have 2 complete running Cosworths.
After 30 years of hearing nothing at all, considering I used to spend quite a lot of time sat in the drawing office, and then I'd hear the bike fire up and we'd all rush outside and listen to it, to hear it again after such a long time is fantastic, particularly the fact there's no silencers on them. And the day when the Cosworth fires up again, I'm going to be really pleased, because that's something none of us have heard for quite a long time, and it's unsilenced again, and it's noisy, very, very noisy.
Well, the highlights, I think, was when we fired up the monocoque for the first time. You know, it was really proof that we had got everything absolutely dead right. That was a great joy to hear that running again.
I shall be supremely happy when I see them finish their first sojourn around Mallory Park next year, and we've got them back in the van and dusted down.
The whole thing from start to finish has been sort of a great thing to do, sort of relive our sort of former experience in road racing and what we got involved with, and to do it twice, just preparing machines, is, you know, sort of was really great to do it. But now, I mean, it's taken a year, or just over a year, and I think now I'm glad to see him going back to the museum, and I can go and have a little rest now, back to retirement.
It's taken us 13 months to produce the 4 machines in running condition, and to be perfectly honest, it hasn't been too difficult. Bearing in mind we had a practice 30 years ago, and I think possibly a little more difficult this time round, because to a certain extent we had a free hand all those years ago. On many occasions, or with particular components, we would make them before they were drawn, so we had a bit of a free hand. But of course this time round we've had to make them exactly as we did them 30 years ago, and so that's taken a bit of time. One person who I think ought to be mentioned is our team manager, Frank Paris, who was quite an amazing chap. He was an ex-Grand Prix rider, and he joined us in 1971, and he joined us as team manager for the following year, 1972. And I can't help remembering Frank. I couldn't help remembering Frank when I was preparing the monocoque and the Cosworth and all the other works bikes, because Frank was very particular about presentation, and everything had to be absolutely spot on and immaculate, and quite rightly so. And as I was putting the numbers on and painting the red and white and blue and the stickers and that, I imagined Frank was looking over my shoulder, making sure that I got it dead right.
Norman, I'll give him his due, he has tried his absolute best to make sure they were absolutely spot on from all those years ago. And I think we've achieved it, or he has, and we've sat back and watched him do it.
We couldn't go to the local shop and buy something, except perhaps a few pieces of wire and nuts and bolts and that. But most of what you see on these 2 machines is completely one-off. Some of those items we couldn't do in-house. For example, the magnesium wheels, beautiful magnesium wheels. Well, we had the drawings, but we didn't have any patterns, so we had to have patterns made. So we had to use a pattern maker. None of us could make wooden patterns. Well, we could, but it would take us forever. So we employed a pattern maker to make new patterns from which the moulds were taken, and then the wheels were produced. And that's what makes the job time consuming. The 2 production races, different kettle of fish, because they're based loosely on a road-going Commando, Norton Commando. You wouldn't think so looking at them, they don't look very similar, but the basics are there. So components for those were fairly easy to obtain. We made a lot of the stuff, but again, a lot of the stuff we could actually go out and buy. In fact, I keep a lot of the stuff upstairs in my stores. John McLaren is an extremely clever man. I mean, to form stuff like this is his handiwork. He's the body maker, and he formed most of this. And of course the monocoque, he made all the patterns of the monocoque. Very, very clever man. Peter Pikett, of course, is renowned for his work with chassis. Peter worked for the Rickman brothers many years ago and produced the prototypes for the Rickman Matisse chassis, and he made a beautiful job. So we were lucky in that respect. Peter also, of course, produced the first of our works races in 1971 for Peter Williams. He built the chassis. I have to say, Peter Pikett is 77 years old, yet he worked with the same speed and gusto that he did 30 years ago. We are talking 30 years ago we built these things. And of course Basil Knight, who's a bit younger, he's the same age as me, designed most of this Cosworth. It was just a wonderful opportunity and experience to be able to work with him again after all these years. So yeah, if I could have afforded it, I would have done it for nothing. Great time we had.